Sorry I haven't made a video in a while. My wife is in the process of maturing a Sisgani bodyguard. It's going to take her about 181 more turns. But I did want to make another April 1st video. Like I'd done in the past, I wanted to find a dumber downed version of Fury of Dracula. A simpler version that was still Fury of Dracula. Last time I did Dracula in London, which was a lot of fun. Very simplified video game, but the issue with that is that that game had, like, graphics and programming, and you could play it on a computer, and I don't know, that's too complicated for me. Well, I decided we'll go with Analogue Fury of Dracula, which is what we'll be playing today. This is Dracula Curse of the Vampire, which is a physical book, a game book. There's apparently a game book renaissance going on right now. And so, for those of you unfamiliar, this is essentially going to be choose your own adventure with stats and dice. Sorry if I sound different. I got a different headset because my previous one gave up the ghost. I tried to advise it not to. I'm like, why give up the ghost? Those things are really rare, and a lot of people would pay money for that thing. But no, the headset didn't listen to me. It's very bad at that, which is probably one of the reasons it gave up the ghost. So, this game, I'm not going to go through all the rules for how it works. There's dice, and basically you read it and make decisions. I will have the rules that I will reference, because it's kind of boring for me to just go through rules. I will read through the parts, make decisions. I'll try to make decisions based on, like, how we would play this in Fury of Dracula. Let's see, the actual place that it begins is after the character sheets, which I have sort of recreated the character sheets over here on the right side of the screen. I could have theoretically used these nice, fancy-looking real character sheets, but in order to use those, I would have had to, like, do the most dangerous and deadly and scariest thing that no mortal man would ever dare do unless they were brave and stout of heart. And that is install Adobe Acrobat onto their computer. And I'm like, no, that's too scary for me. I'm a good Christian man. I can resist the powers of Dracula or Satan, but Adobe, nah, that's too much. That's a step too far. So, I just need to get to the part where the game actually starts. Yes. Okay, so we get to choose who we're playing as. We're obviously not going to be playing as Dracula. We're going to be playing as hunters. I could pick Jonathan Harker, Mina Murray, or Dr. John Seward. I think since we all know that Dr. John Seward is the best character, the best hunter, we'll go ahead and play as him. One nice thing about playing this on digital like this is that I can just search for 500 and go to section 500, Dr. Seward's diary, kept in phonograph, 25th of May, 1897. Now, when it starts in this font, we are allowed to heal 4 hit points from our, endurance. Although endurance, this is a cap. And so you're not, well, technically we would heal in this instance where you start out at the max, so we're not able to. It took all your courage to finally ask Miss Lucy Westenra if she would do you the honor of becoming Mrs. John Seward, but she politely declined, an act which caused her to burst into tears. You can't help chastising yourself for being a brute to put her through such an ordeal, but the ordeal for you is far from over. Nothing in the world seems of sufficient importance to be worth doing now. Man, being turned down by the person you asked to marry you? I guess I'll just have to use my imagination on this. Ha ha ha. The only cure for the malady, such as yours, is to lose yourself in your work. These people obviously read the book. This is sort of a different perspective of the sequence directly out of Dracula. With that in mind, now that you are safely ensconced within the walls of Carfax Asylum once more, you go among the patients. Your attention is soon focused on one of the residents whose case interests you greatly. Mr. R.M. Renfield, aged 59. 59? Really? For some reason, I thought he was a lot younger in the original book. But maybe I'm wrong. You have observed that Mr. Renfield is of sanguine temperament, morbidly excitable, but also prone to periods of gloom. We're not going to use more technical terminology? Come on, I'm supposed to be a doctor. I should know the more technical terms. Your staff have remarked to you on more than one occasion that he is also possessed of great physical strength despite his gaunt appearance. For he is neither tall nor heavily muscled, but indeed has very little, very little flesh on his bones. Okay. Also, apparently, we have a possessed staff that can talk. That might be useful. The more time you invest in trying to understand this man and his peculiar manic obsession, the more his case fascinates you. He had no recorded history of mental health issues until the breakdown. Oh dear, I'm going to get notifications on Steam. That's going to be distracting. The more time you invest in trying to understand the man and his mental collapse was reported. I'm going to skim this. On behalf of the employer, Peter Hawkins, and the firm solicitors, Hawkins, Alderman, and Lee, the executor. Wait, that's a different part. I might have needed to read that. Well, we'll take notes. Equipment and notes. We have a possessed talking staff. Apparently, that might come in handy. Wow. Okay. No matter how he might have behaved before the breakdown, he is now self-absorbed and incredibly secretive, but also driven by greater purpose. You only wish that you could pinpoint the subject of the latter. He has one redeeming quality, his love of animals. Although the pets he keeps in his cell are of odd sorts, he has recently taken to catching flies, and you decide to ask him about his newfound hobby when you are next on the rounds. But when the time comes, you are shocked to see a vast quantity of flies he has collected heaping on the sill of a single barred window outside the world. Okay, do you want to tell him he must remove the flies from his cell, ask him why he has collected the flies, or ask him about his trip to Eastern Europe? So if I was playing this as someone who plays Fury of Dracula, I would think that asking him about his trip to Eastern Europe is like moving to try to find Dracula, because it has to do with like locations on the map, or like getting an early hired scouts is kind of what this is. And that seems not useful to me. Asking him why he's collecting his flies versus telling him to remove the flies, I don't know. I feel like asking him to remove the flies is like the safe move. It's like doing a day supply action, the equivalent of, whereas like wanting to know more about his dark, nefarious whatnot is like a night supply action. So I am going to do option 1. Ask him to remove the supplies. We ain't doing no night supply in here. We're not doing dangerous stuff. I will say, when I was testing in this book, I did a little bit check to see what the result was for this, because I was just sort of skimming around testing the book. And this one sort of seemed like a negative one, so I'm going to be honest and say that I've read ahead a little bit. But after that, this is new. So, Mr. Renfield, your new hobby is unhygienic, you exclaim. Yeah, I mean, like this, him being around a bunch of dead flies isn't going to help his mental state. I must insist that you remove the flies from your cell forthwith. Such a look passed over the face that you half expected him to break into a furious rage, but to your astonishment, he does not. After a moment, thoroughly he says, "May I have 3 days, Dr. Seward? Give me 3 days, and I shall clear them all away." Impressed with his calm and measured response to your request, you agree to his. Continue your rounds. Turn to 631. You know, you could have just included 631 as the one that I'm supposed to go to, but what do I know? Turn to 631. Okay. No. These are all other things. Oh, apparently a lot of results turn to 631. Okay. Oh, well, I guess that answers my previous question. Okay. As the weeks pass, Renfield turns his mind from flies to spiders. On one of your occasional visits, he shows you a box to which you keep several particular large specimens. Okay. I don't see how this is improved. Wouldn't I want him to get rid of the spiders? He has clearly been feeding them his flies. I told him to get rid of his flies, since his store of the insects has become drastically diminished. That said, he has used half the food provided for him by the asylum kitchen to attract more musca, blue bottles, houseflies, horseflies, and the like, from the outside into his room. It is not long before the spiders become a great nuisance. But then all of a sudden, a horrible blowfly, bloated with some carrion food, buzzes in the room. Quick as a flash, he catches it, plucking it, popping it into his mouth. Right. This is all stuff that happened in the book. You have seen all manner of disgusting things while working at Carfax Asylum, but nothing has unsettled you quite so much as Renfield's consumption of the blowfly. Having eaten the fly, he picks up a little notebook that he has in possession and jots something down. Will you scold him about eating the fly? Ask to see his notebook. Tell him to dispose of his collection of spiders. Um. Hmm. Well, I guess scolding him is like trying to encounter, like trying to clear a lair. It's like I'm trying to confront the lunatic, basically. Getting rid of the collection of spiders sort of feels like the safe thing to do. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna say that. I feel and asking to see his notebook. That seems like I feel like he's just gonna attack me if I do that. Um, and if I'm wanting to be a good like professional, I don't want to confront him about his notes. You know, he's not going to trust me if I'm being all mean and whatnot. I'm going to make him do something that's like good for his health, and he shouldn't be having a bunch of spiders, because he's like eating insects and stuff. So I'm going to tell him to dispose of his collection of spiders. Yep. Okay. Renfield suddenly looks so very sad, having received your instructions, that you relent a little. What? No! Oh, come on. You cheat! You cheat, game! I told you to do a thing! Now you're just like, nah, you don't. It's cheerfully accident to fulfill the wishes within 3 days. Oh, this again. Uh, if you now want to ask to see the notebook, turn to 701. If you do not want to tempt fate and risk upsetting Renfield, would rather be about your rounds, turn to 729. I think I should look at the notebook. I feel like the people in the audience are screaming me to not look at the notebook. If I'm asking it to see the notebook, then I think I do that. Oh right, here we are. Turn to 701. I'm now going to ask to see the notebook. Okay. 701. May I look at your notebook? You ask. I prefer that you didn't. Okay. For me to be able to treat you effectively, I need to understand what is preoccupying your thoughts. Okay, all right. That's a decent action. I'm not ill, doctor. In fact, I see things more clearly now than I. Oh, well, I should just let him go. Why didn't they just say that? Oh, he's just fine. Okay. No crazy person has ever said that they're not crazy, so we should just let him out. Clearly, the thought of letting another into his private world consumed me anxiously. You turn to one of your attendants who is present with you inside. Barlow, get it for me. Oh, I have minions. Oh, right. No, Barlow. I remember Barlow. I wanted to make him into an ally, if I remember correctly. He snatches the notebook from Renfield, shaking hands, and passes it to you, flicking through it. Should I add Barlow to my possessions? I have a Barlow, apparently. Barlow, who I can have do things. No, no, no. I do not possess human beings. Christians are founders of abolition, dagnabbit. Okay, flicking through your whole pages filled with masses of figures. Generally, single numbers added up in batches, and then a totals added in batches again, as though Renfield is keeping some account. And then suddenly, spitting like a wildcat, he leaps at you and claws the notebook from your hand, tearing the flesh from your hand and blah, blah, blah. Roll one die and add 2, then divide the total by 2, rounding fractions up. Okay, roll a die. 1, add 2. So 3. Divide the total by 2. So that's 1.5. Rounded up to 2. Deduct this many endurance points. And then if I'm using cards, I do... Okay, so I take 2 points of damage. So I'm now at 20 of 22. Okay, well that, I feel like, was the least amount of damage I could have taken there, so that's good. You know that when Renfield is in the grip of his mania, he is no better than a wild animal, and cannot be reasoned with. Accompanied by your attendants, you leave the cell. Okay, go to 729. So it looks like I took damage for no reason. Well, that's what I get for night supplying. Dag nabbit. Okay, never again. Well, but watch out. I'm going to do it again. Okay, there is a method to Renfield's madness, and the rudimentary idea in your mind is growing. You judge it best to keep away from your friend for a few days, so that you might notice if there is any change, and yet things remained as they were, except that he parts with some of his pets and acquires new ones. I'm still letting him do that? You learn that your staff, from your staff, right, that's the possessed staff that can speak, that he has managed to get a hold of a sparrow and has already partially tamed it. Uh-oh. This means of taming is obvious, for he already has collected spiders, right, and he's feeding them, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The next time you visit Renfield's cell, you are surprised to discover that he has a whole colony of sparrows. His flies and spiders are almost obliterated. You are barely through the cell doors when he runs up to you, obsequiousous. No, no, don't. Come on, guys. I understand that you're trying to well, I guess he's trying to do the terminology of the old book. Saying a favor to ask you, great favor, my dear Dr. Seward. What do you want? A kitten? Nope. He replies with a sort of rapture in his voice and bearing. A nice little sick, playful kitten that I can play with and teach and feed and feed and feed. Okay, so in the book, Seward says, "Would you rather not have a cat?" We'll see, but I can't make any promises. Because I've read the book, would you not rather have a cat? Man, nah, see, I would think, oh, I should do what John Seward did in the book. But John Seward didn't have the knowledge I had and made a bunch of mistakes and bad things. So, I think maybe the we'll see, but I can't make it the diplomatic answer is the correct thing. And I said I'm not going to night supply, so I think doing the we'll see option is the correct one. So let's do that. Yeah. Okay. Wait, no, that's just another one. Okay. His face falls, and you read the telltale signs within his expression that warn of danger. There's a sudden, fierce, sidelong look you have observed in others to mean the patient is about to suffer a psychotic episode. Okay. I'm glad that I'm using my Dr. Seward sense to determine that. The man is no more than an undeveloped homicidal maniac, and you deem your session with him to be over. Okay. 893. This is so interesting, because I'm not sure, how harsh or mean I should be with Renfield. Unable to rid your mind of the homicidal look Renfield gave you, you feel compelled to visit him again that same evening, but this time ensuring there is a secretly locked door between you. A securely locked door. Then you come to his stinking cell. You find him sitting in a corner brooding. When you become aware of his presence, he throws himself at his knees. "Oh, my salvation depends on it," he cries forlornly. But you remain firm and tell him that he cannot have such an animal, whereupon, without words, he returns to his corner, gnawing at his fingers. After an unsettling night's sleep, you visit Renfield again. Very early in the next morning, before the attendants make their rounds, you find him up and humming a tune that spreads out sugar. He's trying to catch flies again. All the little birds have flown. You can see a few feathers scared. One of the attendants, Decker, comes in. He sees the office later that day and reports Renfield has been very sick, disgorging a whole lot of feathers. My belief is that he has eaten his birds. Ew. That night, you give Reverend a strong opiate, enough to make him sleep. Take away the pocket book for close scrutiny. What you learn is that Mr. Renfield is a very peculiar kind of homicidal mania. You'll have to invent a new classification for him. Hey-oh, I get to write a book. That means prestige. That's all that matters for a doctor. Yeah, that's victory points in the game of psychiatry that I'm playing. Okay, it is clear to you now that he desires to absorb as many lives as he can, and he has set out to achieve this in a cumulative way. He gave many flies to one spider, many spiders to one bird. Okay, so what I'm supposed to do is I add zoophagous to the thing. I gain 1 terror point, which honestly is not too bad. The way terror tests work, you roll 4 dice. You have to roll higher than your terror score, so I feel like terror is just kind of happen. I think adding these code words is something so that the game knows that an event has already happened. He has closed the account most accurately, and today has started a new record. Okay. If you want to continue the story as Dr. Seward, turn to 906. If you would prefer to continue the adventure as Mina Murner, turn to 476. No, I'll stick with Dr. Seward. I am not a woman. There is actually also strategy when it comes to picking the different characters. Apparently, the more story you do, the more blood points, which are basically victory points you can give to Dracula. Um, and that makes him stronger, I think, in the final confrontation or something like that. But theoretically, when you're doing when you're switching characters, you can like get more code words, which might help you. I don't know. I've never played this before. I'm intrigued. Okay. I'm going to continue the story as Dr. Seward 906. Let's see. Do I get a heal? I do get a heal. Let's go. So I just heal back up to full because I get 4 from that, right? I think. Yeah, if you are playing as one of the vampire hunters, whenever you read a section that starts with an extract from someone's journal in and is printed in this bold typeface, you may restore 4 endurance points. Great. Okay. It is Straker who summons you. After Renfield, who is usually respectful to the attendants and at time even servile, would not condescend to talk with him. You visit yourself at just 9 o'clock, but he treats you with the same indifference he demonstrated towards Straker. It is as if he possessed of some form of religious mania. He will soon think of himself as God. Ooh, capital G. This guy knows what's up. You must continue to observe him carefully, for the strong, homicidal, religious manias might be dangerous. For half an hour or more, Renfield keeps getting excited to a greater and greater degree, and then, all at once, that shifty look comes into his eyes, which you have noticed is there when the madman seized upon the idea. Okay, I'm glad I'm observant. He becomes quiet again and sits on the edge of his bed, resignedly talking. In an attempt to ascertain whether he is feigning his sudden apathy or whether it is the real thing, you try to get him to talk to you about his pets. Bother them all. I don't care a pin about them. What? You say, taken aback. You don't mean to tell me you don't care about spiders. Spiders are his hobby again. At present, to challenge the reply, the bridesmaid rejoices when the... Yeah, I never understood what this was when I read it the first time in the book. You were weary of the night and low in spirits, and so you end your assessment, thinking about Lucy, how different things might have been if she had accepted your proposal of marriage. Regardless of how tired and overwrought you feel, you fear tonight shall be a sleepless one. Of course, you save yourself from much sleepless misery. You could take a measure of cordial, that more modern Morpheus, although you must be careful not to let it grow to become a habit. If you want to take a dose of the sleeping draught, turn to 926. If you prefer not to, in case you become reliant. No. Winners don't do drugs. Taking the cordial feels like a night supply action, and I ain't doing that. I would prefer, in case I become reliant on the sedative. We are not. I bet this is going to up my terror points, but I won't have a combat encounter. Because I think if I take the sleeping draught, Renfield will attack me. Let's see. Okay. You retire to bed, but as you feared, you lie there tossing and turning, hearing the clock twice, but it is then that the night watchman comes to see you. Set up for Milan to share the most dire news. Renfield has escaped! Well, it's a good thing I hadn't drugged myself to sleep, and I can immediately get into this. Issue. You throw on your clothes, run down the ward at once. Quick! Bring my talking staff! Your zoophagous madman is too dangerous to be left alive. Wait, no. Too dangerous a person to be roaming about freely. You join the attendant Barlow at the door. I saw him not 10 minutes ago, Barlow said. When I looked through the observation trap door, I thought he was asleep. But then I heard a harsh grating sound, and I ran back to see Mr. Renfield disappear through a space he had made by wrenching the bars of the window. The madman is truly possessed of terrifying strength. Yeah, he is. The two of you hurry to the window and peer out into the darkness. Renfield only near... Okay. Do you want to follow Renfield out through the window and set off in pursuit of the madman, or would you prefer to keep watching from the window and see where he might have gone? Do I move, or do I just stay and supply? Do you want to follow Renfield through the window and set off in pursuit of the madman? Or would you prefer to keep watching from the window to see where he might have gone? So a Fury of Dracula player would pick the second option. You want to know where he's going first before you start just setting off. So that is what I'm going to do, because I am going to play this like I would play Fury of Dracula. You don't want to just rush out there. Oh boy. Okay, section 69. Okay, watching from the window, you catch sight of Renfield darting between the trees. that proliferate within the asylum grounds as he makes for the high walls that separate your property from the abandoned mancy that is Carfax House. Quick as the superhero known as the Flash, he scrambles up over the wall. Oh, wow, he has Speed Force. Man, this is going to be really hard. As if he were a gecko. And he's a gecko? Yikes. And vanish into the grounds of the derelict house. Fearing that Renfield could be both a danger to himself and others, you tell Barlow to gather the other attendants and follow you into the Carfax estate. Okay. Leaving the asylum, you hurry down the road to the gates of the Carfax house, which stand chained and padlocked shut. However, the chains are loose enough that you have been able to squeeze between the gates and... okay, take off the word auxilia. Okay, I'm going to do these like this. Okay, so I have auxilia. And then turn to 49. 49. Wait, 49 will be the other way. Right? Other way. Come on. 49. Let's go. And 49. There we go. You get sight of Renfield again as he disappears behind the angle of an old house. On the far side of the manse, you are surprised to find him pressed against an old iron-bound oak door of a chapel. He seems to be talking to someone, although no one else is there. I am here to do your bidding, master. You hear him say, I am your Slav. I am a Slav from the Slavic region, and you will reward me, for I shall be faithful. I have worshipped you long and afar off. Now that you are near, I await your command, and you will not pass me by. Will you, dear master, in your distribution of good things? His obquiescence pleads shifts. Okay, add 1 point to your terror score, but deduct 2 blood points. Well, shoot. I did not score any blood points. I guess I should have done other things. Well, that was a mistake. Okay, so I have played this suboptimally. I should have swapped to somebody. Add 1 to your terror score, but deduct 2 blood. If you have the code word auxilia ticked off, turn to 292. Okay, interesting. So I turned to 292. 292 to show that this is, again, if I had taken a different path, I would take a different path here. Maybe if I had taken a different path, I would have gained some blood points. But I didn't. So, 292. I need to be careful, or else I'm going to lose where I am at. Come on. 292. Let's go. It is more than a moment that help arrives in the form of Barlow Stalker and 2 more attendants from the asylum. Okay. As they surround Renfield, he turns on them like a cornered tiger. You have never seen a lunatic in such paroxysm of rage before, and you hope you never do again. It is a mercy you discovered his strength and the danger he poses before he could prove a threat to the general public. With strength and determination like this, he might have done wild work before he was caged. Turn to 322. Okay. 322. Okay. Dr. Stewart's diary. This is when we would heal again, but I'm already full health. So I feel like I'm doing good. Renfield is also chained to the wall of the padded room after escaping from his cell the night before. His cries are at times awful, but the silence that follow are worse, for he intends murder in every movement. As you're looking through him, the trap of the door cell, I shall be painting master, I'm coming. Who is this master he addresses? You realize the only way you're going to get answers to your question is by speaking to him. Oh no! Human conversation! My only weakness! He is still in a straight waistcoat. Good. Don't want to put somebody in a gay waistcoat. They're not as good. And in the padded room where you interview him, but the suffused look has gone from his face, and his eyes hold something of their old pleading look. I'm not going to fall for it. Unless I am. As you enter the cell, flanked by 2 burly attendants, Barlow and Straker, Renfield gets to his feet and draws as close to you as his restraints will allow. They think I could hurt you, he says in a whisper, all the while looking furtively at your attendants. Fancy me hurting you, the fools. What? Yeah, I think you could hurt me. Or do you just understand that Dr. Seward's power level is unimaginably high? I have 4 inventory slots, I'll have you know. He certainly does not appear to be possessed by some mania that seized him the previous... Please, my doctor, you can see him Will you instruct the attendants to free Renfield from the straight waistcoat, or would you prefer that he remains restrained while you question him? So in the book, they keep him in the waistcoat. I said I wasn't going to fall for it. I feel like I should here. I have 3 guys here, and I'm full health. Because I'm full health, I'm not too worried about this. 372. Let's do it. This may be a mistake. Okay, satisfied with the patient's present condition, you direct that he be relieved. The attendant hesitates before they finally carry out your wishes. So tell me, Mr. Renfield, you say, what compelled you to visit the old house last night? He looks furtively at the attendants before coming close to you and saying in a whisper, the master summoned me. I am his slave. I cannot deny him. Who is he, this master of yours? You press him. He is the one who comes. He is the master of life. He is the one who shall bestow his bounties upon me. And does he wait for you in Carfax House, you ask? Not yet. I must be patient. I shall be patient. For when he comes, his coming shall be glorious, and all false rulers shall succumb in his presence. Presence of the dark majesty, and I gain the key. I have gained ticked off slave. Okay. Renfield is suddenly seized by a terrible fit that has him arcing his back and foaming at the mouth, his arms and legs thrashing as he falls to the floor near bone-breaking contortions that attendants have to restrain him. To prevent him from hurting himself, the paroxysm is so violent that it exhausts him, and he loses consciousness. For 3 nights, Renfield behaves in the same manner. He is violent during the day, but then quiet from moonrise to sunrise. It almost seems as if there is some influence that comes and goes. Okay. So he's mind-controlled during the night. Okay. And you begin to wonder whether, under the same influence, he might try to escape again. If you want to put your theory to the test by settling sane wits against mad ones, turn to 392. If you would prefer not to risk it, turn to 423. I am full health. And I feel like if I have a chance to save Renfield, I'm going to need to verify this whole nighttime thing. So I'm going to put it to the test. Let's go. Renfield escaped without anybody else's help, but tonight it shall be entirely different matter. You give orders tonight, attendants, merely to shut him in the padded room, and sure enough, in the middle of the night, you are called to the ward again, for your patient has once again escaped. All right, but we're following him, right? This time Renfield waited until an attendant was entering the room to inspect it, then dashed out past him and flew down the passage. You send word for the attendants to follow. Okay. Set off once more for the grounds of the deserted house, convinced that is where you will find him. And sure enough, you find him. Okay, I didn't know this meant I was going to let him out. All right. Sure enough, you find him pressed against the old Whitechapel door. When you see him, he becomes furious. And were it not for the face of the attendant seized in time, you were sure you would try to kill you. Add a point to your terror score. Okay, I take a terror damage. But then suddenly grows calm. Catching Renfield's eye, you follow it and see a large bat flapping its silent and ghostly way to the west across the moonlit sky. Bats usually wheel about, but this one goes straight on, as if it knows where it is bound, or has some intention on its own. It's probably nothing. Your patient grows calmer with every passing second and presently says, you needn't tie me, I shall go quietly. And true to his word, he returns with you to the asylum without giving you any trouble. But you can't help feeling there is something ominous in this calm, and certainly shall not forget this night. Get this keyword, which I think might be a negative one. Desmondontinai. Okay. 423. 423. Let us see what be at 423. It looks like a lot of things turn to 423. Some days later, received news of your beloved Lucy from your friend, your betrothed. Is forgotten. Oh, Lucy. Oh, I just hear word. Okay, so I'm moving to new plot line. 691. 691. All right. Let's chart a course for 691. Here we are. Okay. And this is when I would heal again. But again, apparently I've been dodging all of the damaging effects. Okay. Dear Jack, I want you to do me a favor. Lucy is ill. That is, she has no special disease, but she looks awful and is getting worse every day. I have asked her if there is any cause. I do not dare to ask your mother for to disturb the poor lady's mind. Okay. Oh, this is Arthur. That's Lord Godalming calling me. Lord God. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Sure, something's been a dear girl's mind. Almost distracted. Yeah. You are to come to lunch at this place, 2 o'clock, so as not to arouse any suspicion. I'm filled with anxiety and want to consult you. Okay, turn to 653. Okay, 653, which will be this direction, I think. Oh, 653, come on. 653, okay. Wait, is that right? Do not fail, turn to 653. Okay, and then I just get another letter, which would be another heal. Man, I'm wasting all these heals. My dear old fellow, with regards to Miss Westerner, September 2nd. Hey, it's my birthday. Once, in my opinion, there is not any function disturbance or malady. Oh, this is from Seward, that I know of. At the same time, I am not by any means satisfied with her appearance. She is woefully different from what she was when I saw her last. I found Miss Westerner seemingly of gay spirits. So you should have had a straight waistcoat. That could have dealt with the gay spirits. Her mother was present. In a few seconds, I made up mind that she was trying to mislead her mother. Okay. After lunch, Mrs. Westerner went to lie down, and Lucy was left with me. We went into her boudoir. Okay. And as soon as the door was closed, the mask fell off from her face, and her eyes sank down to the chair, hid her eyes with her hand. She saw that her high spirits had been failed, and once again took advantage of her reaction. Could easily see that she is somewhat bloodless. Oh dear. But I could not see with the usual anemic signs, and any chance I was actually able to test the quality of her blood for an opening a window, which was stiff. She cut her hand slightly on the broken glass. It was a slight matter in itself, but I secured a few drops of blood and have analyzed them. Okay. The analysis shows that Lucy is in a vigorous state of health. In other physical matters, I was quite satisfied that there is no need for anxiety, but as there must be a cause somewhat, I have come to the conclusion that it must be something mental. She complains of difficulty in breathing satisfactorily at times, and of heavy, lethargic sleep, with dreams that frighten her, but regarding which she can remember nothing. She says that as a child she used to walk in her sleep, and that, sleepwalker near the East Cliff. I've read the book, I know what's going on. I'm in doubt, and so have done the best thing to know of. I have written to my old friend, Master Professor Van Helsing. Let's go of Amsterdam. It will take him a few move actions in order to get here. Because he starts in Amsterdam, which has no rail access. He is a philosopher and metaphysician and one of the best advanced scientists of his day, and he has, I believe, an absolutely open mind. Yeah, that's a common way that he's described. It would be a good name of his. See, that's actually the name, which should be the name of his ability in the game, is open mind, because that's the terminology used in the book. I've asked him to come at once. We shall visit Miss Westerner together. Yours always, John Seward, turn to 340. I don't know why we told him to turn to 340. I guess we're both. I guess he's also playing the game. Okay. Van Helsing at the station. Next day, when you talk to Handsome Hilling, Lucy's home in Hampstead. During the journey, you tell the mentioned... Right, okay. The fiancé, Arthur, has placed absolute trust in you. You must tell him what you think. The old master says, steepling his fingers, for this is a matter of life and death, maybe more. I am Asian for some reason, this version of Van Helsing. What do you mean, Professor? You challenge him, but he will not give you any furthest clue, merely tapping his nose with a finger. I have never met any people from Amsterdam, so I would not know the accent. Upon reaching Hillingham, you find Lucy in the conservatory and cannot hide the delight at finding her more cheerful than the day you had assessed her. Okay, that's a good sign. Her breathing is normal and well. She's lost something of the ghastly aspect. Okay. She's very sweet to the professor. Yes, everyone loves the professor. Best to make her feel at ease, my dear young miss. He says at last, those who love you told me of your spirits. Okay, Van Helsing sends you into the garden so that you can talk with Lucy in private. I have made a careful examination, he says, but there is no functional cause. Blood loss. Send me a telegram every day. If there is cause, I shall come again. The disease is not too well is a disease. For not to be well is a disease. Ah, yes, interests me. Young miss interests me too. You'll not be drawn further in the matter. It goes to London. Okay. Yeah, London's a good location. Generally, you can block off a lot of movements from Dracula there. Once the two of you have parted company, you write to Arthur as you promised in relating the information, but the professor's words regarding your duty to your patients makes you feel guilty about neglecting Renfield and the rest. So how will you spend the day tomorrow? With Miss Lucy, turn to 841, or back to Purefleet at your asylum, turn to 811. Oh, this is an interesting choice. Do I stay put and deal with Lucy? I feel like Van Helsing knows how to deal with Lucy and can. Um, well, once the two of you have parted company, you write to Arthur as you promised you would, relating all that happened during the professor's visit. The disease for... I mean, I feel like I should let Van Helsing deal with Lucy, and I should go back to the asylum. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to the asylum. Because I feel like Dracula is up to some tomfoolery there, and I don't want him to. Okay, 811. Patient still keeps up our interest in him. He has only one outburst. Hey, look, I got another heal that I wasn't able to use. Back at Purefleet, your time is soon taken up, Mr. Renfield. According to the attendants, just before the broke noon the previous day, he began to grow restless and soon became so violent that it took all his strength to subdue him until he sank. His screams whistle whilst he was in his paroxysm was truly appalling. He spent the morning attending to some other patients who were frightened by Renfield's outburst about dinner. When you look at him again at 5 o'clock that evening, you find him seemingly as happy and content as he used to be. Okay, comes over to you. My dear doctor, I must apologize for my poor conduct of late, but I would be so much happier if I could return to my own cell, and my happiness would only be compounded if you would return my notebook to me as well. He's currently in where? No. I'm not drawing any night action stuff. You're going to stay where you are, young man. Well, hold on. Where is he? In the corner of a padded room. No. You're going to stay in the padded room. I don't want you in a place where Dracula can get to you. You're staying where you're at. This is for your own good. You're going to take your medicine and you're going to like it. No one sleeps well that night, for Renfield's screams echo through the cold corridor of the asylum. Terrible words he utters between the blood-curdling howls, disturbance balances. When you grab a few minutes shut-eye, you imagine yourself a fly trapped between the lunatic's fingertips. Okay. Add 1 point to your terror score and deduct 2 points as a result of... Okay, so I take 2 damage. Ow. And I take 1 more terror. Yeah, I guess I could have seen that coming. And then turn to 921. 921. Let's go. All right. Oh, no. Zoop. I'm turning to 921. You continue to make regular visits, check on your other patients. Miss Lucy Western, okay, yeah, so I just took some unnecessary damage there. Miss Lucy Western, and then you make a house call next on Monday, the 6th of September. You find that her condition has worsened. Oh, okay, so that's all that happened when I went back? That's kind of weird. Okay, hold on, I just want to make sure I did that right. Yeah. Okay. You continue to make regular visits to other patients. Mr. Resident is actually anxious of her daughter and consults you professionally about her. You tell her that you will summon your old master, Professor Van Helsing, the great specialist, to come at once, and that you will treat her together. And so you send a telegram to Van Helsing asking him to return to England with haste. And you write a letter to poor Arthur updating him on Lucy's condition. Van Helsing arrives from Amsterdam the very next day. The first thing he says when he comes, have you said anything to our young friend Lucy's lover, Arthur? I only wrote to him telling him that you were coming. He says, all right. Let me caution you, dealing with madmen. At this he touches you on the heart and the forehead, and then touches himself in the same way. But all men are mad in some way or another. You shall keep what we know here and here. He touches the heart and the head. Okay, so we're keeping secrets, all right. You were always a careful student. Your case, okay. No detail too small. Right, okay. When you arrive at Hillingham, you are met by Mrs. Westenra. She is understandably concerned by her daughter. She assessed readily, and Van Helsing and yourself were shown up to Lucy's room by the maidservant. Yes, I have read the book, and if you were shocked when you saw her yesterday, you were horrified to see her today. She's white as a ghost. Oh my. Van Helsing's face. She needs a blood transfusion. You or me? Okay, here we go. This is an interesting choice. Roll a die or pick a card. If the number rolled is odd, turn to 7. If the number rolled is even, turn to okay. Roll a die. So we're just rolling a die. Okay, roll it up. It is a 4. That is even. Roll is even, so we go to 27. Interesting. I do like the presence of randomness. It makes it theoretically adds replayability. I am younger and stronger, Professor, you tell the mentor. It must be me. Yeah, that makes sense. Then you get ready at once, so bring my bag. But as Van Helsing goes downstairs, there is a knock at the hall door. The maid opens it, and it's Arthur Holmwood! Jack, he calls upon. I was so anxious. You, sir, come just in time. Right, okay, so we do the transfusion with Arthur. His eyelids flicker. Right, because we're the representation of the opposite of Dracula. We give blood to save life. We don't take blood to preserve our own life. His eyelids start to flicker as the necrotic begins to manifest. As the transfusion begins, okay, right, Lucy's cheeks are better. Arthur does the transfusion. You start to grow anxious, blood loss. And I'm not missing any keywords, am I? No. You give a quart of wine, tell him to lie down, where the lightheadedness is past, sleep much and eat much. Okay, 56, good. All right, we go to 56. 56. 56. There's a lot of 56s in here. Okay. When Arthur is gone, you return to Lucy's room and find her sleeping gently. Her breathing is stronger. Okay, so the transfusion has worked. Well, how about that? Blood transfusion actually being a useful card. What is this madness? See, you'll never know what you're going to get in this thing. You notice that the narrow black band Lucy always wears around her throat fastened. An unpleasant red mark on her throat. Dun dun dun. Yeah, that's what people often get wrong, is that the wounds of a vampire are supposed to be small and hard to notice. What do you make of it? I couldn't make anything of it. It's just sort of a black choker, you know? It's not much material to make anything out of it. Just over the external jugular vein are 2 puncture marks. Right. The vampire bite. Should the wound be the reason for Lucy's anemia? But then, if that were true, the whole bed would be scarlet with blood. I can make nothing of it. Ah, yeah, that's what I said. Okay, we shall see. She is your charge. If you leave her, okay, well, we'll take care of her and turn to 86. 86. Here we go. 86. Hey, that's a heal. Didn't I take damage? I sure did. Wow, the Doctor character gets lots of healing events? What is this? Yeah, if you were playing... Whenever you read a section that starts with an extract from someone's journal, a letter, a telegraph, or newspaper extract, and is printed in this typeface, you may restore 4 endurance points. And it's only when it's the start of a thing. If it's in the middle, that doesn't count. When she wakes up, Lucy looks different person. She's full of vivacity. That means full of life. Despite Mrs. Westerner's poo-pooing the idea. Renewed strength. Hey, we played renewed vigor. It seems a little early to be playing that card. Honestly, I think we should hold on to that. But as soon as becoming apparent... Oh, maybe blood transfusion should, like, grant an action to the person you're playing it on. Wouldn't that be cool? It would still probably not see any play, but it would at least, like, feel thematic and make the card maybe more playable. But it soon becomes apparent that Lucy does not want to sleep, so you ask her why she wants to do. Totally dread the very thought of it. This weakness comes to me when I sleep. Interesting. But my dear girl, you may sleep tonight, you tell her. I am here watching you, and I can promise you nothing will happen. On top of that, I can promise that if I see any evidence of bad dreams, I will wake you at once. Upon hearing that, she gives a deep sigh of relief and sinks back onto her pillow. You watch her all night. She never stirs but enjoys a deep, tranquil, life-giving sleep. Okay, in the morning, you leave her to the care of her maid and return home. Your work at Carfax Asylum takes you all day to clear, but that night you return to Hillingham to keep a watch on Lucy. When the duty falls upon you the third night, you quail at the thought, for you are beginning to feel the numbness that marks cerebral exhaustion. Upon reaching Hillingham, you find Lucy up and in good spirits. Looking at you sharply, she says, "No sitting up for you tonight. You are worn out, and I am quite well again indeed. If there is to be any sitting up, it is I who will sit up. Will you insist on maintaining your vigil, or will you give in to tiredness?" "Heck no, I'm staying up. I know what's up. I ain't, no, I am staying up. I've read the book. I know I'll take damage. I don't care. I don't care if this ups my terror score. I'm going to try to find the ending where I can save Lucy Westenra. I mean, I don't think I can, but I'm going to try. That night after supper, which enlivened by Lucy's charming presence, you take your place at her bedside and watch her as she drifts off into sleep. But you are feeling exhausted, and you fight against the natural... Okay, take an endurance test. Okay, my endurance is 22. So for an endurance test, let me just make sure that I know how to do this. To test endurance, roll 4 dice. If the combined score of all 4 dice is equal to or less than your endurance, then you have passed. Okay, so that's going to be 4 of these. Then we'll roll it once. And that is less. So I have passed. So that's going to be 121. If you pass the test, turn to 121. I can't imagine how anyone would have failed that test because of, like, all these healing actions that I get. For Lucy, you would do anything, and staying up for a third night in a row, of course, even if I had kept my damage, I still would have passed that test, is but a trifle to ensure her continued well-being, but it still takes its toll on your weary mind. Deduct 1 point from your combat score! Oh, no! Oh, no, Danny. 1 of 8 of 9. Ugh. Hopefully I can increase that. So there's a maximum. As the clock chimes 12 in the hall downstairs, you become aware of something banging against Lucy's window. Getting up, you see what it is. You are startled to find a huge bat, many times larger than any native species. Upon seeing you, the creature elongates its fangs and then takes off, disappearing. Take off the... Okay, so I got a code word here. I wonder if this code word is for saving Lucy. EPTESICUS, and I gain a terror point. Ugh. Okay. At the first fingers of dawn poke through the blinds, Lucy's room, you lose your battle with sleep at last, only to wake again when you feel a hand on your head. You start to wake. Van Helsing is there. "How's our patient?" he asks. Lucy's sleeping soundly, and her cheeks are tinged with a subtle bloom of rose. Let's go! Ain't no Dracula's sucking on any women while I can pass endurance tests by rolling 4 dice. Okay. Lucy sleeps well into the day, and when she does finally wake, she appears fairly well and strong. She chats with you quite freely, and you try to keep her amused. When Mrs. Westenra comes up to see her, she says, "We owe you so much, Dr. Seward, for all you've done, but you really must now take care of not to overwork yourself. You're looking pale yourself." Okay. Now you go home and eat much and drink enough. Van Helsing tells you, and the two of you are alone again. "Make yourself strong. I shall stay here tonight and sit up with Mrs. Aha, yeah, Van Helsing is coming in, and he'll do his job. You return to Purefleet in time for the late dinner, and then make your rounds before retiring to welcome embrace of your own bed. But both waking and sleeping, your thoughts always come back to the puncture marks on Lucy's throat and the ragged appearance of their edges. Dun dun dun. Okay, the following afternoon, you go over to Hillingham to find Lucy much better. Yeah! Oh, am I going to find an ending where I save Lucy? This false hope is what these kinds of games are made of. After taking delivery of a large parcel from abroad, opening it, he takes out a great bundle of white flowers. "These are for you, miss." Oh, right. These are garlic. It's the garlic flowers, actually. Okay, to your surprise, do I add this? It'll tell me if I need to add garlic to my inventory. Rises up and says, "We never jest." Right, okay. The garlic is very important. He rubs them in the sashes. "It seems grotesque of you. But what are you doing keeping out of an evil spirit?" "Perhaps I am." Lucy is ready for bed. He fixes the wreath of garlic around her neck, telling her, "Take care not to disturb." As you leave Hillingham by carriage, he says, "Tonight I can sleep in peace." Okay. Okay, turn to 357. 357. All right. Dr. Seward's diary. I am already full health. Again. Okay. The pair of you, student and mentor, arriving in Hillingham, 8 o'clock. It is a lovely morning, and the bright sunshine and all the fresh feelings of early autumn seem like the completion of nature's annual work. Okay, sure. All right. Let's get to the gameplay. As one of the family's maidservants admits you to the house, you meet Mrs. Western coming down. She's better? Oh, no. No, you didn't. This, yeah, because she takes the garlic off. Ah, dagnabbit. You cannot take all the credit yourself. Lucy, how do you mean? Well, I was anxious. Found the awful strong-smelling flowers everywhere. Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? Too much for her, and I took them away. Yep. We burst into Lucy's room. As I expected. She needs another blood transfusion. Dagnabbit! You begin to take off your coat, knowing that must be done. He stops you. No, he says. Today you must operate. I shall provide. Oh, okay. If you're happy to allow Van Helsing to provide Lucy with the vital fluids she needs, change to 387. I'm going to have me do it, because I have a feeling that if Van Helsing does it, he might die. And I'm like full health. Although, now that I think about it, I have suffered from not getting enough sleep, and that might have a negative effect on me. So I have sort of become drained of my combat, and I don't want to. So I'm going to let the NPC do it. Go, NPC! The professor takes off his own coat and rolls up his sleeve. Again, the operation. Again, the application of Cardiac. Again, some return, and the regular breathing. Then he is rested. Seeks out Mrs. Red to tell you that he is not to remove anything from the... Okay, very good. Oh, so nothing bad happened. That is good. Looks like I made the right decision. So then we turn to 47. 487. Okay, Van Helsing tells you to watch over Lucy both this night and the next, and we'll send you word when he comes. Take an ESP test. Okay, this is going to be hard because Dr. Seward's ESP is really low, so I will probably fail this. To test ESP, roll 2 dice if it's equal to or less. So I got to roll a 6 or less. Ooh, okay, come on. Big money, or small money. Nope. That's a fail. Okay, yeah, take an ESP. If you pass the test, turn to 527. If you fail, turn to 424. 424. All right, here we go. 424. 424. 44. After dinner, you engage in posting up your books, a duty which, though the press of other works and your many visits to Lucy, has fallen woefully into arrears. Yes. When I eat too much, all that stuff falls into arrears. It is as you are occupied in this task that someone suddenly bursts into your study. Turning, you are surprised to see Mr. Oh my goodness. Mr. Renfield. Are you attacking me because I failed my ESP test, which is basically just like a spiritual test of my ability to sense spiritual tomfoolery? Okay, he's coming at me with a knife. Take an agility test. All right, Seward, you passed this test in the book. Will I be able to? My agility is 10, so I passed that. Okay, if you pass the test, turn to 573. Okay, 573. Yeah, Seward has high agility, low ESP. Okay. Renfield's face is distorted with terrible passion, and he is clearly dangerous whilst in the state. You try to keep a table between you and the lunatic, but he slashes at you with a stolen blade and manages to catch you on the wrist. What? Even though I passed the test? Oh, yeah, this is the image that's supposed to go with it. Is that a dinner knife? If you pass the test, I guess I would have taken more damage if I failed. Maybe I would have died, lose 2 endurance points. All right, well, I get a absurd amount of healing apparently, so I'll take 2 points of damage. And then 633. So even if you have the item to counter the encounter, sometimes you still take damage. That's there's a spiritual lesson in there somewhere. Screaming, "The blood is the life, the blood is the life," like a man possessed. Man, it's like he's a crazy man. Renfield goes for you. If you wish to use Pen is Mighty Ear, special ability, cross off one use and turn to 662. If not, turn to 698. Okay, so I didn't explain how this works, but I get 3 basic uses of like divine intervention to counter a negative thing. I am a bit of an optimist here. My combat has reduced, but I think I will not use the Pen is Mightier. If you wish to use Pen is Mightier, special ability, cross off one use and turn to 626. If not, no, I'm going to go to 698, which I think means I have... Basically, it's a avoid a combat ability. I'm going to not use my avoid a combat. Okay, all right. So I have a combat with Renfield, which I will explain how that works. So he is going to fight me. Basically, if I had used the ability, then my minions would have come in and saved me. If you win 2 consecutive combat rounds against the lunatic, and in the battle, Renfield has initiative. Okay, so he starts with initiative, which basically means that he gets a +1 to his combat. If I win 2 consecutive combat roll rounds against the lunatic, turn to 662. If not, but you are still alive after 4 combat rounds, or if you reduce his endurance to 5 or fewer, whichever comes first, then turn to 662. Okay. Yeah, see, this doesn't seem that bad of a thing. Okay, so I will roll for him first. So the way this works is that we roll... what is it? Roll 2 dice and add the combat. So he's going to roll 2 dice, add his combat. I'm going to roll 2 dice, add my combat. So we're actually even in combat. So he just has a +1 because of initiative. And if you win a combat round, you keep initiative. So he's going to roll. And he gets a 10, so he's in an 11. I am going to roll, and I get not that. So I take 2 points of damage. And then we go again, and he will still have initiative. So he will roll, and he will get a 6, so that's a 7. And then I will roll, and I will get a 7. Okay, so we actually tie here. And I'm not counting our combat because our combat is the same. So in a tie, let me look up what happens in a tie. If your combat rating and your opponent's combat rating are the same, roll 1 die. Right, okay, so there's a specific thing that happens if it is... Okay, so we roll, we get an odd result. You have wounded... Same roll. If it is odd, you and your opponent deflect each other's attacks. Okay, so nothing happens. So that is the second round of combat. And if I can survive 4 rounds of combat, then that's good. So I'm going to roll for him again. He gets a 2. And I am going to roll, which is actually a 3. And I get a 2, so he still beats me. Dagnabbit. Okay, so I'm at 16. Okay, so this is the final combat round. He's going to roll. He gets a 9. I'm going to, which is actually a 10, and I take more damage again. So that was 4 rounds of combat. If you are still alive after 4 combat rounds. So he just, unlike in the book, he just whooped me so bad. Okay. And so now we go to 662. 662. So that could have been better. But, what are you gonna do? 6. Okay, before he can cause you greater injury, even though it is not in your nature to strike your patient, fueled by fear and adrenaline, you land a punch and send him sprawling back on the floor, which is what happens in the book. Your wrist is bleeding freely in a small pool. He collects, and he's licking it up like a dog. Oh, it's scary at a terror point. Ow. Okay, where's all that healing? I want that healing that I had before. Okay, he's shouting the blood is life. You bind your arm all too well, aware that you cannot afford to lose any more blood. The prolonged strain of Lucy's illness is telling on you. You need to rest. After your last traumatic run-in with Mr. Renfield, you realize that you are not going to achieve anything worthwhile tonight, and so retire to bed. Happy that Van Helsing has not summoned you. Okay, so to 722 we go. 722. Okay. Oh, that is one of these, which means I heal 4. Let's go. I'm at 18 health. All right. Do not fail to be on Hillingham tonight. If not watching all the time, frequently visited and see that the flowers are placed. Very important. Do not fail. Shall be with you as soon as possible. Okay, you cannot believe it. Van Helsing's telegram arrived early, the morning of 18th September, but a whole day late. Oh dear. The professor's dire warning fills you with dismay, and you know by bitter experience what may occur. Okay, of course it is possible. Okay, so he told me you have to get there and put the things around her. Don't be late. But the telegram arrived late. Of course, it's possible that all may still be well, but you find yourself fixated on what you fear might have happened. You feel that there is some dreadful doom hanging over your endeavors, that every possible accident seems to thwart your efforts. You set off immediately, boarding the first train to London, and even you, a man of science, praying that nothing has befallen Lucy during this night. Hey. Don't you talk like that. Seward is very Christian, all right? And don't act like science and don't act like Christianity didn't invent modern science. Okay. You drive at once, which it did, by the way. You drive at once to Hillingham, and keeping your cab at the gate, head up the avenue alone. Ascending the steps to the front door, you knock gently and ring as quietly as possible, hoping to only bring a housemaid to the door. When there is no response, you knock and ring again, but still there is no answer. Cursing the laziness of the servants, you ring and knock a third time. The creeping dread steals into your heart. Is the desolation another link in the chain of doom? Knowing that minutes, even seconds of delay might lead to hours of danger, search for another way in. But you can find no other means of ingress. Every window and door on the ground is baffled. You return to the front porch. You didn't even let me do like a test? Like an agility test to see if I could find a way in? Okay, 42. To 42 we go. Yes, because all the people in there have been mesmerized. 42. Hearing the rapid pit-pat of a swiftly driven horse's feet, you become aware of a carriage pulling up to the gate, and a few seconds later, see Van Helsing revving up the avenue. Have you only just arrived? Are we too late? Did you not get my telegram? You answer as quickly and as coherently as you can, explaining that you have been unable to make anyone in the house hear you. Raising his hat solemnly, the professor says, "Then I fear we are too late. Come in." Oh, dang it. Man, that was all full of hope, too. At the back of the house, you find a kitchen window, and the professor produces a surgical saw from his bag. Having cut through 3 of them, Van Helsing uses a long, thin knife to push back the fastenings of the sashes. In this way, you open the window and make your way inside, followed by the professor. Do you want to search the ground floor of the house first, or do you want to head straight upstairs to Lucy's room? Let's see. I gotta go to Lucy's room first. Have I got? I gotta back up my boy. I mean, part of me is like, oh, I want to loot all of the locations, but I'm going to earn to 72. Yeah, there's typos and stuff in this. Hence the what's it called? Errata that I talked about. You race up the stairs to Lucy's room. On the bed lie 2 women, Lucy and her mother. Mrs. Wessinger, a face drawn in white, with a look of terror upon it. She's quite clearly dead. Lucy's lying her. The garlic flowers had been around her like light discarded on her mother's bosom, and her throat is bare. You see 2 mysterious wounds. Without warning, the professor bends over the bed, his head almost touching Lucy's breast. Fear the worst, although Lucy's losing her battle for life scares you more than anything else. Add 1 to your terror. Oh, my terror is going up. Van Helsing gives a quick turn of his head as if, quick, it's not too late. Bring the brandy. Ha! You fly downstairs and return less than a minute later. Van Helsing rubs her. I can do no more for the time being. As the professor's instructions, you draw a hot bath and place Lucy in it. Okay, her lungs. She must have another transfer of blood. But who is left? who is left to open the veins for now? Will my blood do? Comes a voice from the threshold of the bathroom. Quincy Morris! Oh yeah! Now's when the book's getting good. You cry in joy and relief upon seeing Arthur's American friend, who was once a suitor of Miss Lucy Westenra's affections, like yourself. What brings you here? I guess art is the cause, he replies, handing you a telegram. Okay, so this telegram doesn't heal me, because it wasn't at the start. Have you not heard from Seward 3 days, and I'm terribly anxious. Okay, I think I've come just in the nick of time to tell me what to do. Van Helsing strides forward, and taking his hand, looks him straight in the eyes. A brave man's blood is the best thing on the earth when a woman is in trouble. Based. The devil may work against us for all he's worth, but God sends us men when we need them. Oh, yeah. 112. All right. And that is why. And I get my heal again. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I am glad I did not use my pen is mightier than the sword ability. Once again, we went through that ghastly operation, and though plenty of blood went into her veins, Lucy did not respond to the treatment as well as the other occasions. Her struggle back to life was something frightful to see. While Van Helsing tends to Lucy, you go downstairs with Quincy. When the two of you are alone, and as he has a lie down after a restorative glass of wine, he says to you, Jack Seward, I don't want to shove myself in anywhere where I have no right to be, but this is no ordinary case. You know I love that girl and wanted to marry her, so I can't help feeling anxious about her. What's wrong with her? Lucy has lost a lot of blood, you tell him as calmly as you can. And how long has this been going on? About 10 days. 10 days, Quincy exclaims. Then I guess Jack Seward, that pretty poor creature that we all love, has had put into her veins within that time the blood of 4 strong men. Actually, not technically. Man alive, her whole body wouldn't hold it. Drawing close to you in a fierce whisper, he says, What took it out? That, you say, shaking your head, is the crux. If only we had one of those, we could fight off Dracula, or a crux affix. I can't even hazard a guess. All right. Quincy holds his hand. Count on me in. You and the Dutchman will tell me what to do when I do it. When Lucy wakes later that afternoon, her eyes light upon Van Helsing and then on you, and then she is gladdened. Hey, she's not dead. Let's go. Between great racking sobs, cries out of her mother. Oh, yeah. I don't think your mother has made it. Hold on. We go back. Okay. That night she sleeps fitfully, and Professor takes turns to watch over her. Quincy Morris patrols the house and its grounds. Telegram goes off to meet him at the station. When her betrothed arrives, it's almost 6 o'clock, and the sun is setting, and when he realizes how desperate the situation is, he is choked. Yeah, we've only done 3 transfusions. Technically, I have not transfused. Arthur's presence causes Lucy to rally a little, and she speaks to him more brightly than she has to anyone else. However, you fear that tomorrow will see an end to your watching. Turn to 157. 157. I get another heal. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is... Wow. Okay. 1 o'clock in the morning, you take over for Van Helsing and continue to sit with Lucy while Professor Arthur gets some much-needed rest. At 6 o'clock, Van Helsing comes in to relieve you. Drop the line. I want blight. And he bends down, his face touching Lucy, examined upon garlic. Mein Gott, the wounds on her throat have vanished. He turns to you. Oh, she's dying. Right, she's turning into a vampire now. Okay, I need to take an ESP test. Oh, dear. When you return, only a matter of minutes later, with Arthur, Lucy has opened her eyes and seeing him whisper softly, Arthur, oh, my love, I am so glad that you have come. Kiss me. Oh, no. I think if oh, no, 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 no. I don't want to fail this test. Oh, it is going to be a hard test. Okay, 2 dice. Here I go. I think we get Vampire Godalming. Oh, my goodness, I passed it. Oh, let's go. We ain't getting Vampire Arthur Godalming. He's too important of a humpter. If you pass the test, turn to 184. 184. There's something the matter, and you have never heard such seductive words. Turn to, and this is actually one of the errata. What is it supposed to say? In section 184, which is where we are, the number you need to turn to is 237. Turn to 237. So yeah, I think we just avoided a negative effect, basically. Okay, sensing danger, you swoop upon Arthur and drag him back with the strength you never knew you possessed. Not on your life, not for your living soul or hers, Van Helsing roars. As he rushes to help her, standing between Lucy and her fiancé like a lion at bay. Okay, then we go to 297. Okay. 297. Lucy hisses like a serpent, bearing her pronounced canines. Her face is contorted in a monstrous glance. Spasm rages. I swear, the professor says. He turns to Arthur. Come, take your hand in yours and kiss her on the forehead but once. Drawing his hand close to her, Lucy kisses it. She puts her things to take it in his. Drawing his hand close to her. Wait, Lucy kissed Van Helsing's hand. That doesn't sound good. I swear, the professor says solemnly. Then he turns to Arthur. Come, take your hand. The lovers' eyes meet. Oh, so she's like turning good at the last moment. It's over. She's dead. Oh, dang it. Well, I guess that event can't be avoided. Returning to the room, we find Van Helsing staying at her. She's at peace at last, and that is an end to it. He turns to you, says gravely, not so, alas. It is only the beginning. Dun, 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 dun. That means we're going to have to kill Lucy. At the funeral arranged on the 22nd of September so that Lucy and her mother might be buried together because Arthur has to be back. Okay, undertake. Professor adds violet garlic in places and a gold crucifix over Lucy's mouth. Okay, if you wish to continue the story as Dr. John Seward, turn to 999, over to the role of Jonathan Harker. Or the recently married Mina Harker. Oh, let's go. Hold on. Got to upgrade it. Mrs. Mina Harker. She just leveled up to married. Let's go. Okay, no, I'm going to stick with Seward. If I had, like, say, used up some of my pen is mightier uses, maybe I would have swapped to someone else, but I'm going to stick with Seward. I want to get to some vampire staking, because I know that's what's about to come. Whoop. Okay, if the blood score is 5 or higher, turn to 969. If the blood score is 5 or lower, turn to 941. 941, because I have avoided any vampires so far. Okay. Okay, and I get another heal. The Hampstead Mystery. During the last 2 or 3 days, several cases have occurred of young... Oh, right, the Bloofer lady. There be a lady, she making vampire children. It's a whole thing. However, all of the children who have been missed at night have been slightly torn or wounded in the throat. Yep. It's not fun times. Okay, 886. All right, let's deal with this. Seward's Diary, another heal. Guy, too much healing. If there was you get 2 for every heal, then that would be something. But no, it says that you get to heal 4 every time there's one of these things. That's if you're playing as one of the vampire hunters, whenever you read a section that starts with an extract from someone's journal, you may restore up to 4 endurance points. This only applies when the section starts. And does not apply to any telegram or other piece of text that appears in this way in the middle of a section. Right. And they can't exceed their starting endurance unless specified by the text. Right, okay. 4 days after the funeral of Lucy Westenra on the evening of September, Van Helsing. What do you think of it? Wounds are like those on Lucy's neck. And what do you make of that? I don't know. Yep, blood loss. And Van Helsing is like it's vampires. They'll be made by Miss Lucy. Okay, then where are we going? That I will let you decide. I have learned from my friend Dr. Vincent, North Hospital, that the last young victim of the Bloofer lady is being treated there. So we could visit that child at the hospital, or, and at this he takes a key from his pocket, we could visit the churchyard where Lucy lies interred. This is the key to the Westenra family tomb. Well, I think we want to stake this vampire. So we're going to go to the churchyard. At this point, we know that there is a vampire, and it's like we could investigate things, but I think we need to go and stake a drake. So we are going to do that. Well, that's ominous. It is after 10 o'clock when you reach the wall of the churchyard and you are forced to help climb over. Using the key, the professor opens the creaking door. Once inside, Van Helsing takes a matchbox and a piece of candle, the flowers that were placed on the tomb, and the same time as Lucy's coffin hang like blah. Locating Lucy's coffin among those of her ancestors, Van Helsing takes out a tool. Lucy's body is there. Add 2 to your terror score. Ugh. Okay, terror score is starting to get high. We might want to switch to someone who doesn't have a high terror score at some point. Perhaps a body snatcher, you suggest. Some of the Undertaker's people have stolen it. Arming yourself with a crowbar from the professor's bag of tools, you leave the tomb again. Wait. Do I gain a crowbar? Crowbar? I think? Must have proof come with me. Arming yourself with a crowbar from the professor's bag of tools, you leave the tomb, locking the door once. We must keep watch. You on one side of the churchyard and I on the other. Where would you prefer? Okay, we must keep watch. You on one side of the churchyard and I on the other. Oh, dear. Okay, hold on. I should have been paying attention. Do I want to be on the western side? The western side of the churchyard in the shelter of the yew trees, or the eastern side by the boundary wall. So if I remember correctly, from my reading of the book, she comes by the yew trees. And I think I need to not be the person who sees that because my terror is just kind of tall right now. Reach the wall of the churchyard and forced to climb over the gates of the cemetery being locked. I'm going to say the boundary wall. Let's do that. Because I think Van Helsing can deal with it. Yeah, 9, 6, 3. We'll go to the boundary wall. Come on. Wow, a lot of sections. You take place on the far side of the shelter, sheltered by the boundary wall. You see the dark figure of Van Helsing head to the westward until you intervene headstone's yew tree. There's a lonely vigil. You hear a distant clock strike 12, and then 1 and 2. You are chilled and unnerved, angry at the professor for taking such a nocturnal errand, and with yourself for agreeing to it. Hearing the disturbance of the loosened earth atop a recently filled-in grave, you turn to see a child, almost at your shoulder. Oh, you gasp. You made me start. What are you doing out here by yourself in the middle of the night? We've been playing. Who has? Yeah. Okay, it's starting to change, guys. The plot is starting to shift. I don't know what to do, guys. It's changing from the canon. Okay, who has, you ask, confused. The child, a boy, cannot be more than 6 years old. Me and the bloofer lady. Your blood runs cold at the mention of the name. As the child takes another step towards you, by the light of the moon, you see that it is a face and hands are deathly pale. Oh no, my terror is going too high. Why can't I heal terror? Okay. His eyes are deep crimson. Will you play with me? The child says smilingly, exposing the sharp points of elongated milk teeth, and your hands tighten on the crowbar. I think I'm going to use one of my pen is mightier special abilities. Yes, I think I will do that. Boop, boop. I will use the pen is mightier. And I'm going to cross it off and turn to 993 because my terror is getting so high that I think I want to swap to one another character when I get an opportunity. You are still able to do so. Cross one off and turn to 993. Okay, so 993. I'm going to basically auto-win this battle. 993. And 993. Okay. Suddenly, Van Helsing appears, moving to run in between the tombstones. "Begone, offspring of evil!" he cries, thrusting a silver crucifix into the child's face. The boy gives a blood-curdling scream and, spitting and hissing like a cat, flees to the sanctuary of the shadows. Oh, this did not happen in the book. She did not successfully make vampires children. I feel like I messed up. What's with that? You exclaim, shaking the shock of the encounter with the urchin. She might not have been a mother in life, indeed. She was barely more than a child herself when she died, but in death she seeks to start a family with her own nonetheless. Oh dear. And what is that supposed to mean? You challenge him. Sky is overcast, and somewhere far off an early cock crows. At 2? Or 3? Okay. Come, he says, ignoring your inquiry. My mind is made up. Let us go. You return home for tonight to your asylum and see that all is well. As for me, I have things to do. Meet me again at the hotel. Meet with the young American. We shall have work to do again there. Okay, 753. 753. Okay. Seward's diary. Oh, hold on. 753. 753. Seward's diary. Once again healing me for the damage that I have not taken. With you all gathered together in the rooms, the professor proceeds to update Arthur and Quincy, telling them they found Lucy's coffin to be empty. Empty? What do you mean it's empty? I'm willing to be patient. Okay, if we could spare the plan. Okay, he's going to explain after a pause. She's dead. It was like, you mean she could have been buried alive? No, she's undead. Right, he explains. Vampires. What do you mean? Cut off her head, fill it with garlic. And Arthur's like, what the heck are you talking about? I have a duty to both the living and the dead. Come with us now that we may see what John has already seen. Okay, so then in 15 minutes, to midnight, when the four of you enter the churchyard at Kingstead over the wall, reaching Western Tomb, look over. Under the grass, the coffin is empty. Yes, okay. For several moments, no one says a word. The silence is broken at last by Quincy Morris. Professor, your word is all I need. I wouldn't ask such a thing ordinarily. I would not ask such a thing ordinarily, for I would not wish to dishonor your name. But is this Yahweh doing? I swear to you by all I hold sacred that I have not removed nor touched her body. 2 nights ago, John and I came with the purpose to seal up the coffin, but we didn't. Yesterday I came before sundown. Right, we're explaining. I took away the garlic. Lucy's tomb. Arthur. Would it not make more sense to lie in wait here? I say we treat this like a good old. I say we treat this like a good old-fashioned Texas roundup, and split up to search the cemetery for her, says Quincy phlegmatically. What do you think would be best, John? Van Helsing says, turning to you. It would appear you have a casting vote. Okay, so Arthur wants to lie in wait for her. Quincy wants to take the offense. If you agree with Van Helsing that the tomb must be sealed to stop Lucy from re-entering, turn to 776. If you think Arthur is right, and that you should set an ambush for her inside the tomb, turn to 15. If you think Quincy's idea is the best, that you should split up and search the graveyard for her, turn to 480. We are not splitting up. This is a horror movie. I know it's Quincy Morris, and it's literally me saying this, and I understand the idea behind his thing, but we are not splitting up. Okay, but Lucy will return before long. We must close the tomb and bar her from entering it again. I think I agree with Arthur here. Because if we block up her tomb, she's going to try to go somewhere else. We want her to enter the tomb because then we can catch her there. So why don't we lie in ambush? Arthur is right that we should set up an ambush. If you think tomb, turn to 15. Yeah, I mean, there's 3 of us here. Come on, we can ambush a single vampire. Right? Surely. Come on. 15. Oh boy. There's a lot of 15s. This is, come on. Okay, I'm just gonna click and go like so, because I know that the 15 is gonna be down here somewhere. All right, 15. Oh, it was remembering where I was. Oh, here we go. All right, come on, you big 600-page document. You can do it. I have full faith in. Seriously? Okay, I have less faith in your abilities. See, it's still thinking that my cursor is up there. Okay, we're close enough now. We can just use sublight speed to get there. 15. Oh, I need to remember that. This hasn't happened yet, but if we hit a skull icon, I have to skip 30 after. Okay. Despite having once been Van Helsing's student, you can't help agreeing with Arthur that it seems foolish to quit the tomb again in search of Lucy when she will return herself in time. The four of you secret yourself behind the sarcophagi, and within as yet unfulfilled coffin niches in the wall of the tomb, while Van Helsing shudders his lantern, you do not have to wait very long before you hear the creak of hinges and the rustle of chiffon on the marble floor. Peering out of your hiding place, you see a red-haired woman in a white gown descending the steps into the crypt, something dark held to her breast. Your heart grows cold as ice. Okay. As you would notice them anywhere, but Lucy's not alone. She's accompanied by a half-dozen children. Dagnabbit. Oh boy. Okay, ranging in age from 3 to 7, or so it would appear. By the moonlight that enters the tomb through the open door, you see that the clothes are disheveled and the face are apparently unnaturally pale. Reaching the bottom of the steps, she stops. You recognize the features of Lucy Westenra. But they are somehow changed. The sweetness has turned to adamantine cruelty, and her purity to voluptuous wantonness. All right, time to be gone, thought. You also see that her lips are crimson with fresh blood, and the stream has trickled down over her chin. Add 1 to your terror score. Wah! Wah, I say. Wah! Okay. At a shout of now from Van Helsing, you emerge from the hiding place, ready to confront the evil that has taken root in the resting place of the dead. When the thing that now bears Lucy's shape becomes aware of you all, it draws back with an angry snarl, eyes blazing with unholy light. The unnatural monster callously drops the child in her arms, the infant giving a sharp cry as it hits the stone floor. Ugh. It does not move, but lies there wailing. Okay, it's still alive. The cold-blooded act wringing a groan from Arthur. Turning her attention to Lord Godalming, then the Lucy creature advances towards him with outstretched arms and wanton smile on her lips. Come to me, Arthur, she says languorously. My arms are hungry for you. I think something else is hungry for him. Like your mouth. Come and we can lie together. No, don't lie. Lying is a sin. Come, my husband, come. There's something diabolically sweet in the tone of her voice. Something... Okay, you better resist the thought. Okay. As for Arthur, he appears to be under the spell, his arms open wide. Oh, dear. Arthur, these others mean me harm, she says. Protect me, my husband. Oh, no. And too late, you realize that Lucy creature has done. Oh, she played mesmerized. Dang it, Arthur, you should have played punch. You fool. Yes, my beloved, Arthur says, turning towards you. The club he is carrying gripped in his hand. The changed children surround Quincy and Van Helsing, while Arthur forces his attention on you. If you want to use Pen is Mightier special ability, you still can. Ooh. I'm going to do it. I'm going to use my Pen is Mightier. Okay, I know. I'm using it. I'm using it. Okay. You still can turn to 38. If not, I'm turning to 38. Yeah, because I'm going to swap characters at some point when I next get the chance. Turning to 38. I may lose a chance, though. It is as if Arthur no longer knows you, no matter how much you cry his name. Desperately hoping to make sense of somehow, you realize you have no choice but to defend yourself against the bewitched Arthur. But just as you raise your cudgel, Quincy Morris leaps over your head, the hissing urchins, and brings the hilt of his bowie knife down on the back of Arthur's head. His knees immediately give way, and he crumples to the floor in an unconscious heap. Let's go! Before he can do any more, the children leap onto Quincy's back, sending him sprawling onto the cold marble floor of the tomb as well. Quincy, you're not supposed to die until the end. Oh, no! And I lose another use of Pen is Mightier? Oh, this is what I get for using my abilities. See, I'm usually like, okay, I should just use my stuff, because so often it's like, oh, you're going to hold on to it until the end and then never do it. Turn to 98. Oh, dear. Quincy, no, you're not supposed to die until the end of the book. Okay, let's see. The thing that now wears Lucy's form suddenly gives an angry snarl. Man, they handled this sequence so much better in the book. I'm just fumbling this whole conflict. Eyes blazing with unholy light, but in the next moment she regains some measure of self-control and turns her attention towards you. Come to me, John, she purrs, a wanton smile on her crimson lips as she crosses the vault. Oh, don't make me... Oh, it's going to make me take an ESP test. It is you I want. Only the doctor can give me what I need. You were just talking to Arthur! You... What... what a... Oh, God, what a horror. Okay, you cannot tear your eyes away from her penetrating gaze, even though... All right. It's your worst stat, Dr. Seward. Can you resist the power? Wait, that's a 7. What is my ESP? Oh, it's a 6. Oh, I fail by 1. Oh, no. Okay. If you pass the test into this. If you fail, turn to 346. This might be death. This might be death. It seems like it would be. Wah, 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 346. Come on, 346. 346. Your vision swims, and Lucy, yep, is an innocent beauty once more, her purity restored. Come to me, John, she says again. You cannot resist her. This is all you ever wanted. Your pulse racing, you welcome Lucy's cold embrace, and in that moment, your broken heart is healed. And then Lucy sinks her fangs into your jugular and says, oh, dang it. You're mine. Oh, I'm going to become a vampire. You're unable to resist, and she draws a fingernail across her exposed decollegiate? What? I don't know what these words mean. Else you have sworn to your friends and promises you made to Lucy, remember, will all be forgotten. You are the creature of darkness now. The adventure is over. Wow. Well, I lose. And so if I were to play this again, I would play it again from the beginning. But that's that. I wonder if using all of those pen is mightiers were a mistake. And I obviously Van Helsing's solution was the one that we should do because that's what happened in the book. So that's the game. I lose. Maybe I'll play this again. Who knows? This might be fun. It's a lot of reading, but now you'd be like, oh, well, just Quincy, go back and make this decision. No, that's cheating. That's cheating for me to just go back and change the choices. No. I ain't no cheater. Who you think I am? A cheater? Because I'm not. Maybe I'll play. If I do play again, maybe I'll play as a different character. That could be fun. But yeah, I wonder if it's like with Dr. Seward, he just tends to take more terror points and tends to do more healing of his endurance. I don't know. That is an interesting question. Didn't even get a gun. There is ranged combat in this. It basically gives you a free shot ahead of time. And yeah, I'm going to nuke all of my keywords. Yeah. The reign of the vampiric doctor is about to begin. Oh, dang. Yeah, I bet there's that for all of the different ones. Man, and Quincy was such a cool guy trying to save me. It's all because Arthur wasn't able to resist. Well, that's the game. And if you want more of this, then maybe you'll get it. Godspeed.